Maserati-E. I'm going to tell you about his story, but first he's sitting next to one of my partners that I met years ago, about in 2017, and we sat down and he told me about this concept. He and his lovely wife, the co-founder of the Last Mile, that they had been doing. They told me MC Hammer was a member of the board, and once he mentioned Hammer name, I knew it had to
Oakland.
be legitimate. But I did question him initially, like, what is your motives? What are the gains for you? Why are you doing this? And he told me, man, he had lost a bet with a friend, and a part of that bet was he had to go to San Quentin and teach those residents and talk about coding. It was a 30-minute conversation that turned into a 4-hour conversation, and he walked out, and he and his wife, Bev, they sat down and said, we got to do something about this. They didn't have funding. They did it all on their own. They created a curriculum program called The Last Mile, and those who are residents behind bars who so choose who are committed and dedicated, they got to follow the rules, and if they could complete the course and do what we call, I want to say, not career day, but a
demo day.
They'll be able to present business concepts and ideas to leaders in Silicon Valley, different various companies, startups, the whole nine. And I got a chance to come on board, and that was the first time I went to San Quentin in that manner. Let me say that. And I was able to go in there and be blown away by some of what I call the forgotten or lost population of individuals that are behind bars for whatever reasons. Given the proper resources, equipment, and assets, they could become anything in their wildest dreams.
100%.
And if we did that, if this could be a microcosm of how we can improve conditions in our outside free society, we could see a lot more changes coming out of disenfranchised environments like the one that me and Maserati-E grew up in, growing up in Oakland. So next to him is the one and only Chris Redlitz. You heard me say his name before. It's not his first time on the show.
Thanks, Sway.
Oh, no problem. Maserati-E is from the east side of Oakland, man. I know his story. I've seen his story before. I know his mindset when you're growing up in Oakland, and he lived a life at one point where he told me yesterday he felt like he was walking in insanity. You know, he was numb to any compassion. He was numb to people who were victims of crimes he may have committed. And it took a long time before he got sat down on his ass at juvenile hall and realized after 2 strikes that I could lose my life, my freedom, doing these things that I'm doing. But what fueled him? What made him think that robbery was cool? What made him think that threatening someone's life was cool? He ultimately went to jail for attempted murder. He got there, changed his life around, and now he's a host of a Last Mile radio show.
Wow.
That's here on SiriusXM. He's telling his story to empower folks that have went down the same path and let them know that there's other choices. There are other endings that could come out of a life. And even if you started it off one way, you could redeem yourself.
Come on, Sway.
As we saw many people do. I mean, when you look at American history, that Kennedy family wasn't always clean.
Hello. Riding dirty.
You know what?
Well, I don't know why I went down that route.
You done got fired up. I shouldn't have said come on, Sway, so early.
That's what happened.
It took you back to the history books.
But right, but we got what we have now is Last Mile. The Last Mile Radio is premiering on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 this Saturday. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It's going down. Channel 111, the Last Mile Radio, featuring Chris Redlitz and our guest today, Maserati-E.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
What's poppin'? What's poppin'?
Wow.
Come on, man.
Blessing to be here, bro.
Come on,
Blessing to be here, man. Real talk.
You forgot to say who the initial guest is going to be.
Oh, the first guest tomorrow is me.
That's
Another way to bring it in.
Yeah, bro. I have a hard time celebrating me. But
we're going to give you your flowers for sure.
Absolutely. Growing up in Oakland, man, I'm proud of you. I know the work King Tech and myself have always done is to inspire people who come from where we come from. You know, I've been in the game a long time, so you probably grew up watching and listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, man. And so I'm glad that we had a chance to meet. You mentioned once that one day you told, you were behind bars when you once said, I'm going to rap for Sway?
Literally, man. This was back in like 2016. I was in a prison called CMC, the California's Man Colony. And I wrote this rap, went to the yard, finally got it down and everything, and gassed it, and literally was like, man, this some Sway in the Morning type shit right here, for real. I'm like, man, one day I'm gonna bust this on Sway for sure, and everybody believed it as well. You know what I mean? And we had it all fired up, like for real. So to be here in this moment, it's crazy. It's quite literally like a dream come true, like literally.
You said in 2016, one day I'm gonna bust this rap on Sway. 7 years ago.
Literally.
Wow.
Is that what that's what he said? That's incredible.
Wow.
Yo, DB, let's let him know where he at right now. Easy said, it's easy done. Let's make these dreams come true.
Let's do it.
Are you ready, Maserati-E?
Absolutely.
You are in the Valley of the Hyenas.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
No lie. Yeah, waited a long time for this, Sway.
Okay, you ready?
It's
Amen.
time.
You can rock this.
Look. Another day in the life of a young broke hitter trying to make $1 out of 3 Buffalo nickels. True definition of a young go-getter is exactly what I see when I look into the mirror. It's appearing I'm steering in the direction of greatness with a mind that could blind, and for that blessing I'm gracious. Chasing my basic dreams to make it, making Franklin's on a daily basis, killing everybody about to want to listen to what it is that I'm spitting. Ain't gonna be no competition, my flow is just too malicious, and my team is a militia of people that's just as vicious with ambitions and intentions to take control of the globe. And money make the world spin, my mind like a whirlwind, spinning thoughts and spending money to the world end. My thoughts are lucid, trying to make a couple M's off putting in my 2 cents. I'm abusing competition for my amusement. I'm a lyrical mutant, sick like I'm filled with mucus. When it comes to the music, rap is translucent, see right through them. I got a solution, I'ma exclude them from out the equation. I'ma kill them all, leave them pushing up daisies. Mass genocide, unmasking the lies that they told us, trying to play the role of a soldier, but really pussy like a vulva. I'ma just killing to eat them dead just like a vulture. It's gonna be vulgar for these fake rappers. This the apocalypse. Force feed bleach down all their esophagus. The revolution will be televised. I hope you watching it. You plan on stopping it. I'ma obliterate your confidence. I'ma create a pessimist out of an optimist. Didn't believe in me, I'ma force you to think the opposite. Only other option is there is no other option, bitch. I'ma beat the game till your game is impossible. Yeah, and that's just the way that it go. Been planning this for a minute now, I'm already on the show.
Hey.
Man, and it's really getting real, coming from the heart. I just gotta spit what I feel. About to take a dream and really make it turn real. And I don't even got a deal. I'm about to get my pockets filled. Really about to eat on the plate. I ain't got no time to wait, time to escape, it's real.
Come on, man! Hey!
Hello?
A dream realized, boy. A dream realized.
Absolutely.
A dream realized. God is good, man. God is great. God bless you, man. What a blessing.
To be here,
what
man.
an absolute
Oakland,
blessing.
we are up.
Hello.
Oakland, we are
Absolute
up.
blessing.
Hello, town business in the building.
I love seeing this. I do. I love seeing it, and like you spoke it, and people believed in you, and you are here. It is manifested. And Tyrese was just in here a little while ago and just reminding us how words are so powerful. Words are powerful, and we have to be careful with what we say. Be careful with what we take in. You spoke it. You are here. God bless you. I'm so happy for you, man. What a blessing.
Wow, man.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the show. We got a hyena up in here.
Hello.
So,
It was clean.
yeah, it was, every bar was clean. To all of those folks tuned in, a lot of times I'm approached on the streets, and people they'll say, man, y'all held us up when we were behind bars. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, we listened to you. We found you somehow, some way, and thank you for that inspiration. You're that inspiration. There are people who are in jail for attempted murder, some for murder, some for scams, some for whatever the reason they're in. Some are unlawfully in jail.
Absolutely.
Right? But for those who actually committed crimes and feel regret or guilt, is there a road to redemption?
Absolutely. I think one thing a lot of people don't realize is the work that takes place behind those walls. And the work I'm referring to is that internal work, the work that you work on yourself, on your mind, on your heart to become a better human being. And ultimately, I feel like a lot of times we put in that work to help somebody else. It's bigger than just us, especially being a person that caused a lot of harm. You know what I mean? We definitely on that path of redemption, and we want to rectify those wrongs. So we do all that we can to make ourselves better, so that way we can help make everybody else better as well and grow together.
With crime, like especially the crime that you were accused of convicted of committing,
I got to take accountability.
You got to take accountability.
Right.
You did it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know that's hard. That's so anti-street ethic, right? Is it like, some alcoholic or someone who's addicted to drugs, they go to rehab and then they're an alcoholic for the rest of their lives, is how a lot of them say it, even though they're not using alcohol any longer. They got to get help. They got to go to rehab. Sometimes you got to call somebody in your support group. Is it the same thing with crime?
Absolutely. I feel like at the end of the day, just like an alcoholic, I don't think the alcohol is necessarily just the problem. It's underlying issues there. They're using alcohol to try to cope with something much deeper than just the alcohol. 9 times out of 10, they hurting. 9 times out of 10, it's things that they're trying to run from. So therefore, they're using the alcohol to numb that. You know what I mean? The same thing with crime. It's a saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's the response. We responding to that hurt, and usually it comes out in ways of violence, unfortunately. So the way that you rectify that, you got to find out what's hurting you and why. You got to find out what's causing you to respond in these type of ways and why. Just like with an alcoholic or somebody addicted to drugs, you got to find out what's the real root reason of you using that drug. What is it that you're trying to numb?
When someone is behind bars, I know we don't like to use the word incarcerated or inmate or some of these expressions. When someone's a resident behind bars, you're looking at the outside world. Like, I've been to a lot of prisons and spoken with folks, and folks want to get out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? People want to be free of being under that ruling. When you're looking at some of the activities you see of people who are free, especially entertainers, especially in the rap field, and you see a messaging that's being perpetuated that can land you in prison, or even energy about, taking people's lives, that kind of thing. For you, how did you process that? Like, do you look at folks and want to tell them, yo, you're blowing it? Or,
absolutely.
What is your...
I mean, I got multiple takes on that, right? At the end of the day, the world that we live in, everything ain't right, but it's real. You feel me? So I feel like it depends on what exactly your message is when depicting those truths.
Okay.
If it's something that you encourage them to do, then I'm totally against that. But if you're just telling your truths of something that you experienced, something that you witnessed, something that impacted you, that's a little different. You know what I mean? You composing your reality. You capturing that versus saying, this is what I'm doing and I want you to do it too, versus saying this is cool, in other words, glorifying the madness. You know what I mean? So like that's where I'm at with it. I feel like when you glorify it and you make it seem like this is a cool thing to do, then that's encouraging a lot of people to follow suit. And 9 times out of 10, the ones that's encouraging people to do all that type of stuff, they not even in the field no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, y'all not even living that life. So at the end of the day, you kind of faking for real. And it's a lot of people getting hurt over you faking for real. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I definitely had to come to realize. Like, words are very powerful. Influence is very powerful. And it's people losing their lives and throwing their lives away from those type of influences.
We got Maserati-E here. You just heard him spit bars. You want to follow him? Follow him at what? What's your social?
Absolutely. So on Instagram, it's the real Maserati-E the real Maserati_E. It's a mouthful. And on Twitter, it's Maserati__E.
I gotta say, deep admiration for you. Like the transformation that you have done with your life, designing it, whether it was unconsciously in the beginning, but then really being able to master your mind and do it consciously. Like, salute to you for real, Maserati. When you mentioned, when Sway had brought up the comparison to alcoholism, and you stated so well, so eloquently, how the alcoholism is really a coping mechanism for symptoms of something greater. And for yourself then, what are your new coping tools? What's in your toolkit for healing from the challenges that contributed to a life of crime?
First and foremost, I'm a firm believer in each one teach one. I think a major vital aspect to growth is having a healthy support system. Now I got people like Chris in my corner. I got people that was on that yard with me that was further along in their growth, and I was able to take some tools out of their toolbox and throw it into mine, which ultimately elevated my growth. So I think having a healthy support system is a huge vital aspect to your growth, for sure. I think that's the starting point for real. And
are there like any books or any documentaries, just because a lot of this has to do with programming.
Right,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Conditioning, for real.
Yeah. So, like, what are some things for our listeners and maybe their community members or just themselves struggling with something privately that they can use to reprogram the brain?
Definitely. So I've read so many books, man. Too many to name for real. But the ones that immediately come to mind for me is like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
Mr. Fab book, the dope era book. It's a lot of game in that one that I kind of used, you feel me, to add to my
That's
growth.
what's up. We love Mr. Fab.
Yeah,
that's
that's
my
our
dog,
family.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
We need to get Mr. Fab on the last. He needs to do an episode of the Last Mile Radio.
We got to make that happen.
Yeah,
we got to make that happen.
Yeah.
He would be excellent.
On the real. And as far as documentaries, one of the ones that really, really woke me up as far as like the parts that we play, the roles that we play in society, you know what I mean, was the 13th by Ava DuVernay. That one, that broke my heart and woke me up and had me fired up all at the same time. So that was another one that I feel like was a turning point for me too.
Thanks for sharing.
How long you been out?
It's 3 years now. I got out August 7th of 2019.
What are you doing with your time?
Man, grinding.
Well, what
working.
does that mean? You got to, grinding means something else.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
you got to,
all legit.
come on,
all
man.
Legit,
After all that set up.
Yeah, all legit grinding. We not curb serving. We not on no blacks, and if we is on some blacks, man, we selling hope, not dope. That's for real.
Word.
I'm an audio engineer with a podcast called Uncuffed. It's produced in San Quentin State Prison as well as Solano. I also work at a school called the Branson School in Marin, utilizing mentorship. We help them get like a $200,000 grant geared towards reentry, where you can utilize natural skill sets, things you don't necessarily have to be certified in or anything like that, based on our experiences. Me and Antoine Banks, the co-founder of the podcast Ear Hustle, working there and currently shooting a documentary there as well, and then doing my music, and then of course the Last Mile Radio.
There you go, right? Last Mile Radio Saturdays. Wait, hold up. It's on set tomorrow 12 p.m. noon, 9 a.m. Pacific. Replays will broadcast Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Eastern as well.
9 a.m. Eastern.
9 a.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Eastern as well. Channel 111. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. We got to talk more.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, man. I'm proud of you being from where we're from, seeing your growth, your evolution. A lot of us made some missteps. We've had some conversations off air, and we deserve the right to make better and rectify and redeem ourselves. Some things we did as a youth, with all of that programming that's been indoctrinated in our minds constantly, and all these pitfalls and all these walls that are put up for people specifically that look like you and me.
Absolutely.
And when we come out from around it or above it or however we bust through it, it's a celebration. So you're a celebration, right? You're what Oakland could be at its finest.
Absolutely.
So salute to you, brother. And you're a real one. I know your background. I did my research the whole nine. You're a real one. So for you to be here, man, I commend you, and I'm glad we made this dream come true today. Give it up for Maserati-E. Give it up for Chris Redlitz. Yes.
One thing I definitely got to say, I am not the exception. I am the reflection of what happens when being afforded the opportunity to shine.
Absolutely.
I'm not the exception.
You're the
Not the
reflection.
Absolutely. There's so many more like me behind them walls as well as in many communities, and all we need is just an opportunity to shine and grow.
And that's what Chris Redlitz and Bev Parenti from The Last Mile. I don't know what they thought they were creating when they created it. I knew it grew into something much more than they ever could imagine and dream. Chris never thought he would be a co-host on a radio show.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and so congratulations,
Thanks,
Chris and Bev and Liz, our producer. We done won awards together for the Last Mile podcast. Liz is off the chain. She's really strict about her shit.
That's
all right. But I want to thank y'all for coming by the Last Mile Radio. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 12 noon, channel 111, 111, the Triumph channel. We want